Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. We do have our guest in the studio this morning, and together we'll take a look at a few individuals whom we consider on the political scene to have made impact in the year 2024. And joining us this morning is a friend of the house, and we might as well say that he's just one of us here. And of course, we have Razak Olukwoba, social commentator, joining us on the program today. Good morning, Razak.
Thank you. Good morning. Happy Christmas.
Same to you. Thank you for joining us on the program. Right, because this morning we'd like to take a look at a few people who've made impact on the political scene in 2024. So if we decide to start from home in Nigeria and pick the person of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, can you consider him as someone who's made impacts globally in 2024?
Because if you look at the impression the rest of the world have about Africa is high. And they consider Nigeria the most influential in Africa. So if you are making the move in Nigeria politically, you are actually talking to the rest of the world. And since 1992 that I've heard of Ashwaju, then we were arrested, and you were motivated by senior comrade that so people are. So they were telling us that there's a senator that is with us in our struggle. The name is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Since that day, he has been making political impact in the political landscape of Nigeria. But particularly since 2022, when it filtered in that the aspiration for presidency is real and it's not a rumor. Since that time, we have been having positive and negative news coming out about him. So he's the most politically spoken about since that time till date. He's a peculiar political figure because of his style in politics. He has been the only politician of his category that has been able to sustain his legacy where he rose from, which is Lagos. If you look at the people he became governor at the same time, in 1999, half are dead and half no longer politically relevant. The remaining half have little or no influence today, but it stands out and it's been waxing stronger. He took over the Southwest political landscape. Many may agree, many may not want to agree.
Sure.
Until he became what he is today. And he has a very peculiar political profile because no godfather, nobody to report to, and it's not a primitive or a retrogressive politician. He took Lagos from where it is from Marwa to where it is today. He established the political structure that we have today. In terms of taking over succession process that is almost seamless since that time till date. We have to learn a lot of them, and if you want to mentor people, he's one of the most recommended politicians that should be recommended to younger politicians in Nigeria today. He's a good role model politically, and we have to begin to tell the younger ones that if you want to rise in politics, you better begin to study Tinubu.
And that's why a lot of people say, yes, it is a structure to be studied. But Razak, for you, I mean, you've said good things about this man, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Is there any downside to this man that you see that you also can attest to or can point to that may also be one of the things that he needs to work on? I know a lot of people have talked about his tenacity, talked about his political structure, his political will. And you also just mentioned here that, you know, he got to where he is without a godfather, but he is a godfather to many. And so are there things about this man that also you see that's probably because a lot of people are also at the same time are saying that, you know, at the moment, you know, he's just trying to win everybody to his side and, you know, continue his formidable force, building a formidable force. But are there things, you know, that you see about this man that worry you as an individual?
Yes, he's dangerously too trusting. I don't know whether it's for divine intervention that he has survived many of departure from people who he brought to limelight in politics. How he survived is a divine intervention. We can mention names. When he parted ways with Koro, I thought it would be totally decimated. And I thought we felt that he learned some lessons from that.
Okay.
But he didn't. He brought up some other people again, and the one that is having effect in this political structure today was that of Rauf. You know, Aregbesola. People said that, no, you have a lot of resources around you. Don't place too much responsibility in the hand of one person. So that's his challenge. Okay. And he didn't stop at that. During campaign too, he gave a lot of, so many assignments to some people that we may not want to mention their names now, that it affected his campaign.
Okay.
In fact, that was what actually made us lose Lagos. Yes, because he entrusted too much in the hand of one person. The governor is there. Other political class are also there. Okay. Entrust them with some of these things so that as you are going, they will take over from where you left. There are so many structures that were not activated in Lagos. And that was why we lost. So many structures. In fact, our own structure were not touched at all. The civil society were not, nobody spoke to us, nobody said anything about us. Not only us, there are so many youth organizations, there are so many, not partisan, but political groups that were not activated. Not only in Lagos, but in the whole of Southwest. So he is too trusting, he's dangerously too trusting about certain people that you need to share the responsibility. Okay. I know him, he has met us severally. He spoke to us in 2014 that he wanted to become the president of Nigeria as a COSEC leader. And he told us that Buhari will be doing Mandela theory, that he will be doing one time. We argued it that time politically, we discussed that, no, Buhari may not do one time. So that one is now. So, but in moving forward, you need to learn that there are people who are willing to build a barricade around him. Okay. So, and he should share this responsibility to all of them. That's one. Then, number two is that as he is the president now, he needs to understand where he's coming from. Advocate of the restructuring and things like that. He should not make it, the impression did not add about restructuring is that it's anti-North. He needs to quickly review how he's going to make the northern brothers understand that there's nothing anti-North in police or state police. There's nothing anti-North in people generating electricity for themselves.
Even in the tax reform.
In tax reform, there's nothing anti-North about that. We saw the slow pace that is moving. And that gives room for people to misunderstand him for too long that, oh, why he was in Lagos too. Before we could go to his policy direction, it is 2-3 years into his government. Right. But now we begin to praise him later. Oh, this is where you were coming. Oh, thank God. But if you had been decimated. Yeah. So this lap needs to be recovered. You need to quickly recover it and ensure that his policy direction is explained to people early enough so that people
understand.
Communication is very clear central.
Okay. All right, let's move away from President Tinubu and go to another man that a lot of people also consider as a political figure that must be reckoned with in 2024, and that is Donald Trump. You know, surviving an assassination attempt during his campaign era there in the U.S. But then he came back and he proved again beyond reasonable doubt that he is not just any man that you can toy with. For you, what does Donald Trump, what does he truly represent?
Well, thank you very much. Anywhere in the world today, if you want to discuss the political event of 2024, if you mix out Trump, that analysis is not complete. And which means we are thorough in what you are doing today by bringing up the issue of Trump. You see, Trump is proved to people that he's an individual that has been totally misunderstood. We thought it was about aid for black people, KKK, Ku Klux Klan. And as a Pan-Africanist, I don't like him when he was coming in the first time. Okay. But later, we had to re-examine the morals that Trump is preaching. Okay. And I was proud of him. I'm proud of him. Look at his family. look at his children, no tattoo on any of his children, no drug cases on any of his children, no scandal in any of his children going to party. As reckless that people may present him that with women and things like that, look at the profile of all the children he has. That's where the leadership begins, though. That's where it begins. Then the morals of Donald Trump, I appreciate it a lot.
Okay.
He's a strong member, and I mean tacitly, of the MMM, Moral Monday movement.
Right.
The Moral Monday movement is from Northern Carolina. They are the one that is preaching against abortion, preaching against gay rights and things like that. He's a member. So, and what do you represent in Africa other than this moral? So, the only dot on his profile is resolve that Americans is for America. And who will say that? Nigeria will also say that. There was a time we said Ghana must go to. So, in trying to protect America, he didn't take time to explain to people that, no, America is not the dumping ground for renegades from all over the world.
Right.
Where your bad citizens is where you come and he should have taken time to explain that to the rest of us so that we will understand. But he's fearless. He's confrontational. So it became very easy for Democrats to be able to use that to blackmail him. So for him, in his return, any of our brother that is living in America, I've been calling all of them, go and put your paper in order.
And ensure that you have the right to live in the country.
Go and put your paper in order. Then on foreign scene, the fear of Trump is the reason why the Syrian war has been quickly resolved. And it is the reason why Ukraine is beginning to soft pedal in its affront against Russia. And it's the reason why Netanyahu is also trying to look at it. If Trump comes, because am I taking advantage of Biden with all these things giving me, with all the electoral committee? Will Trump be easy for me to deal with?
Right.
So that's there. On Africa, the relationship with African people, he has no such too much business with Africa. It just sees Africa as Africa that if I want to do business with you, I do business with you.
Right.
But for the president in African leaders, they have to sit up. Trump is Republican.
True.
And Republican frowns at too much aid, too much foreign donations to people. He frowns at it.
Right.
He says that
you must
work. Democrats is talking about, what people call a woman baba. He said, no. Republican said, if you work, you get money. If you don't work, I can't give you my money that I work while you are sitting down at home. So the African leaders that are used to free money from international community and free, they are then all the international agencies are also beginning to sit off.
Right.
NATO is the highest donor to NATO. NATO is beginning to look for someone else to get his money.
Right.
United Nations is also beginning to shape up that this man is not going to waste America's money on us. So he has shaped. Then Russia, the most powerful continent with America in the world.
We'll come back to talk about Vladimir Putin himself.
Okay.
Because by extension, definitely we cannot mention Russia without mentioning Vladimir.
Yes.
So I'd like to just put a check on that before we come back to talk about Vladimir. But very quickly, on the continent, talking about the African continent, Namibia made history, of course, this year by electing the very first female president in the person of Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. And of course, this was historic because though aged 72, but she secured 57% of the vote, and meaning that, of course, there was no runoff in that election. If you take a look at, the personality of Netumbo and the fact that she was able to hold sway in Namibia, did that really represent anything to you?
Yes. If you, as political scientist, if you define democratic consolidation, that's one of the indices, gender balance. Consolidation means that when all the parties has won and lost power, the cycle must be completed. PDP and SPC, after about 40 or 50 years in power, another party takes over. That's a complete cycle. If PDP was there, it's only Ghana in West Africa that has done that. The man that won now lost in the last election, and he came back. Now,
and
that's
he's been president before.
That's a complete cycle, and it's the only West Africa and Ghana and with the whole of West Africa that has completed that cycle. Nigeria is at the second stage. So on gender issue too is one of the things that, and age, that is one of the things the rest of the world will entrust your country. That this country has gone through consolidation. They will give the citizens of your country sensitive assignment. The one I mean now as United Nations today.
Right.
The one Kondo Iweala has to. So that's why people say that we didn't say anything against democracy. I say you are not looking at it very well. Because we have gained. We have been able to establish our continent in the heart of the rest of the world that we can trust us, because World Trade Center is not a joke.
True.
United Nations is not a joke. Countries like Syria, they can't make them United Nations Secretary General.
Because of the war.
Iraq, even in Europe, there are countries in Europe that they will frown at it if they want to. Greek, it has a challenge. So, putting all these things together, you will know that the world has positively gained a lot of, particularly Africa. We are in the Sahel, of course. There's crisis in Sudan. We have partially crisis in Nigeria that Tinubu is trying to put behind us by decimating the bandit and the terrorists. Of course, he's doing well in that regard. But the other African countries also have their own challenge too. So, but it's a good thing that something good is coming out of Africa. And I'm shocked that in national dailies of the rest of the world, it's not making news.
Right.
That what the Americans are unable to do. Pelosi lost. Clinton
Biden
lost.
lost.
The women,
right.
Lost.
What's her name now?
The recent one against Trump, Kamala Harris, lost.
So
we are actually teaching them
so on the continent, have you been able
to... So we should be using it to train and make our children to be proud of Africa. Africa is not bad. We were leaders of the world today, and when we led, we didn't turn the world to theater and a bloodbath. We brought penicillin. We are the first leaders of the world. We worked hard to... So that's a good thing that a woman has become the president in Africa. And it's kudos to the people of that
Namibia.
country for doing that. It's kudos to them. So we just want to hope and wish that the woman will also do the need.
Because, I mean, she's also held high-profile positions before she eventually became the president. She's been vice president.
You can't become the president of any country if you don't have a high profile.
She's been vice president of that country even before she eventually became...
That's what I'm saying. So experience that is the experience that gets you to where you are. Even winning of the election itself, you must be thorough, you must be on ground. You must understand the terrain very well, anywhere in the world.
Okay.
To become a party candidate of any political party in any part of the world requires experience. You must be on ground.
It's not just numbers.
No.
Experience also counts. Let's talk about these two big men, although one seems to be bigger than the other one, and you know their names are similar in certain cases, talking about Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. We know that these two men, of course, are cat and dog. They don't see eye to eye because, of course, of all of the intricacies surrounding the war there. And so if you take a look at the man that never smiles, Putin, and Zelensky, who's always, always looking like a schoolboy.
Dramatic, very, very dramatic.
And, and the love for his people. And then you question sometimes his rationale and think that how can you love your people so much, yet you're losing men daily, you're losing your country daily? Because if you look at the number of destruction that has happened in that country, you would, of course, feel for Ukraine. And so if you take side by side these two countries and these two men who are president of those countries, how can you define what they both represent?
Well, first and foremost, I don't know what Zelensky had in mind when he went to that war.
Yeah, well,
and I don't also know
it could also be a push.
The point the citizens wanted to prove by agreeing that the country should... Maybe there is a spell. I want to believe it's because the country can be under a spell at times. Russia is 19 times bigger than Nigeria. We have a bigger population than them. Nigeria is in crisis. We are too many for the land we have. There's no part of Russia that will be fighting Russia that is under any serious threat. You see, there are armaments that Russia is trying to dispose. I know very well that other countries of the world have joined. So it's not fighting Ukraine per se. It's fighting half of Europe and America. It's just for official announcement that we need to know that all those countries are actually part of that war. But that doesn't move Ukraine.
Right.
It's becoming assertive. And if you look at Putin very well, Putin was the head of KGB. when we have the USSR. And KGB are thorough officers. Putin has been part of all the revolutions in Africa, virtually all the revolutions. It was partly part of the revolution in Cuba with Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. So, if that kind of person has to become the president of a powerful country like Russia, you have to think twice before you go to war with such a country. It is reckless and careless and suicidal for Ukraine to go into that war. Russia is also paying the price, but Ukraine is been totally decimated. Why do you think that we don't go to war with Cameroon? Why do you think that we don't go to war with Niger Republic that time? We know that there are countries in the world who will be making benefit from that.
Right.
The reconstruction of Ukraine is not free. People, our young men here don't understand that America is coming to fight. America is coming to make money if you are fighting war.
Right.
Or the smallest bullet America is giving Ukraine, they will pay for it too. If not now, in the future. And in a way, they are already paying for it.
Okay. So,
all the international organizations that are going, the European and all of them, all the unions, they are not going there for free. And that is why I fear for the life of Zelensky, because the war has taken a very big toll on the people of Ukraine. So he's hiding now. The security move around him now is becoming more heavier and heavier because his people are beginning to get angry at that time. In the first instance, it is people seriously get emotional at times. It's leader that will caution them. We can't fight this war. I am your leader. When people say they want something, that's why people say, when people say that I fight, I say, see, don't fight for the people. Fight for the oppressed and the truth. When the people is angry with you for saying the truth, in the future they will learn. When Hitler started his expedition, the citizens were supporting him. Few elements in Germany warned them that
don't do this.
Russia and Germany, Hitler is fighting. It's not in our favor. Eventually, it came to pass. So there were few elements they were telling Zelensky that time. You want to fight Russia? America didn't fight Russia.
And there's
a land that is unclaimed land, 3 unclaimed land in the world between Egypt and one country. There's an unclaimed land between America and Russia. It's a disputed land. It doesn't belong to Russia. There's no country there. America, the way America has been grabbing land over, America, they are not going to grab that land. So if America is hesitant to go to war,
why are you Ukraine?
And if you look at the whole of Europe, anything Russia says that if you do, you are in a direct war with Russia. They stop it immediately. Right. So for me, if Russia, Putin, a powerful guy, he plays little or no politics with his foreign policy.
Yeah.
And even his local policy, he's a serious-minded person. And he's an alternative. Every day to America. Any day to America.
Okay.
So that balancing is good for the world.
Is good for the world.
It's good for the world.
Let's quickly talk about this man. A lot of people, sometimes look at this man and wonder how has he gained this prominence and how much his people really love him. And of course, this was expressly stated when they re-elected him for a 3rd term, talking about Narendra Modi of India. And of course, at the moment, India has almost 1.43 billion in population. And Narendra...
more than China now.
More than China now. And Narendra, of course, is now the Prime Minister for the 3rd time. And he's still waxing strong. And but for you, is this a good sign of a leader, or is he just taking advantage of his people?
See, democracy is the wish of the people. It's not election every 4 years, so. And it's not changing your leadership every 8 years, so. Or 4 years, the case may be. It's the wish of the people. If the people of China say they appreciate the model in China today that made the president almost a live president, that's fine. That's democracy for them. In India, too, democracy is waxing stronger. And a smart continent, a country, the entire population of Africa is not up to India up to now. But I tell you they are smart. And I give you numerous examples. In 1958, 59, they came to Nigeria to study the free education model of Awolowo, the state of Kerala. Not only the Pankani that they took back, it's not only that. Today, the state of Kerala is about 70 million. There's no single illiterate there, illiterate person there. All of them are literate. And it's is the leading IT in India.
Right.
Which makes also India also the leading IT in the world today. They didn't only also do that in Africa. They go to the rest of the world to study the model of how they became successful in a particular field, and they bring it back to India. They will not ask for too much machinery,
right?
Because they have all this AI. They don't appreciate it because they are overpopulated. So if you bring AI to be doing the work of 20 people, the remaining 19 people, there's no job for them anyway. So they employed almost manual technology,
right,
to carry out their things. Instead of using crane, instead of using forklift, they have human being to do it. If they want to dig, they won't use bulldozer.
That's why their population is soaring.
No, it's not so. That is why how they take care of their population. They have a population. So they are very smart in engaging them.
Right.
They didn't engage 30% of the population. They engage virtually everybody by this strategy.
Okay.
They make sure that machineries are thoroughly discouraged in many areas, because we do so. Even in farming, they don't mostly use tractors.
Yeah.
It's only certain area that felt that must speed up production that they use machinery.
Okay.
So it's a smart country. And if they are not smart, they will have been in crisis by now. Because if Indians are hungry, it's a problem to the rest of the world. You have Indian nationals spread across all over the world. And if there's a humanitarian crisis in India today, the rest of the world will be in problem. And that is why every country in the world takes certain country's issue as important as anything. Nigeria is one of them, 250 million. If you are in Desari,
where will you take us to?
Cotonu's food for 1 year is going to be our shopper. So China,
Another
India,
population, right,
and also people population. So that's why they try to be careful with India. So the fight between India and Pakistan, they wade into it. They don't want it to spread, because if it spread, China has border with Russia. Right. It has with China.
Okay.
So all those things. So Modi is doing well. His re-election is not a coincidence. It's very deliberate by the people of India. And he's saving the rest of the world a lot of things. You know, they are superpowers. You announce it, don't announce it. They are superpowers. Nobody should be trusted with that trigger that will make anybody shoot intercontinental ballistic missile. Right. So once the world has ascertained that Modi is not people that will go and be doing accelerated discharge of a nuclear weapon, we have to keep encouraging people like that to be there. It's not about someone has won an election. No, it's not only about that. It's also about who is going to keep the world peace. And that is why back in Nigeria too. Nigerians should consider themselves very lucky for the kind of people they want to have as they have been having as president, starting from Obasanjo in 1999, to Yar'Adua, to Jonathan, Buhari, and now Tinubu. If we had given this country to certain politicians, we would have been decided. If we look at the attitude as opposition,
right,
they want to burn the country down. So the world understands the reason why Modi is coming back, and that's why you didn't see any too much complaint. Right,
about his third term. Time is fast spent. We need to go. Let's quickly talk about this man before we finally go today. This man is a man of little words, but again, when you look at his how he operates, you'll sometimes wonder, this man, what's going on with him? And that's the president of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. Sometimes you look at him and you think, is he alive? Or is he a comic character? But, I mean, and this was a man who was born in 1982. But he's one of, world's leaders that you can't also toy with. Let's quickly talk about him before we go.
You see, he's speaking to his people.
Oh, yes.
Yes. But the impression the foreign media, the Western media gives us is that he's not talking to the world. He's actually talking to
his people. And those were the ones that matter.
And he's talking to the countries that wants their own citizens to hear them. They don't want this man to speak with the Western world. Because he has a lot of things to say about the West. North Korea has a lot to say about the West. And so if you see, my country is contented with what we have.
Right.
And that's why it appears as if we are not hungry. But ask your country. Your country, for instance, we say America is less than 5% of the world population. But how come America is consuming half of what the world is producing? Is that the kind of people you want my people to become? No. And so the people understand and appreciate that. So if you start talking to the rest of the world, it's a problem. So they shut him out.
Right.
So the younger people should understand what is happening globally. North Korea is not a...
It's not small fry.
It's not a small fry. And it's not a country where they eat once in a day. No.
It's a rich country.
And that was how China started. China shot the rest of the world. They said that China, they are eating each other. Because they know where China is going. China today, out of the 5,000 leading big institutions, big companies in the world, China has 3,700 out of those big corporations.
Right.
Is the owner of over 3,000. And 20 years ago, they are just the owner of about 5. Today, they rose to become that level. And in China today, their train move 1 billion passengers per day. In China today. So, and that's when, with contentment, that's where North Korea is going gradually. They try to decimate it and they say, okay, I have an atomic bomb here for you if you try to mess up with me. So, like I said again, they are also a good balancing for us. The example we are going to follow is our business. If you want to follow the Eastern Bloc, fine, follow it. If you want to follow the Western Bloc, fine, follow it. So, what you gain from all of this, that the question that we have asked, is for us to be able to use it to guide ourselves.
Right.
I know you have read Chris Brown. Chris Brown has wrote about the future, the shape of things to come in the future. We didn't feature in military. We didn't feature in economy. We didn't feature in health sector, critical sectors. And the analysis was done for now, between now and the next 100 years. And it's because of that. So we must have a change of attitude. Whatever you want to do now, let us understand that your country has no replacement or must not have any replacement in your arts. Your country must be first. So in going to 2015, let's look at what Tinubu has to offer us.
Okay.
And let's guide him and supervise him.
2025.
That this is 2025. That this is the direction you must do. Whatever policy that is putting on, it's experimental. There's no economy or political book that says that Nigerian solution, this is where it is written. Right. And this, so if it works, let's clap for it. If it didn't work, let us learn what didn't make it work.
Okay, and then forge ahead. And
forge ahead.
What will work. All right, time is fast spent, and this is where we would leave this conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Razak Uluku, our social commentator, for finding time to be here and helping us take a look at some of the leaders that have shaped the world in 2024 on the political scene.
Thank you
so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's the much we take on this segment of the program. We'll take a quick break. When we return, Adebimpe and Joy will take you through their Lagos conversation.